Yo, what's up guys? Imagine Create Destroy here. And today's build is centered around these three minis that I got at my local D&D store recently. The inspiration came from the old man and the donkey that I bought. Then after I found this rock creature and I really wanted to incorporate it into like a desert diorama with the creature attacking the man wandering through the desert. Alright, let's get started. First off, I just cut out some triangles from this XPS foam and then I'm just going to stack them up and line up the minis just to make sure everything fits the space well. Now that I know it fits good, I'm going to super glue them into place. I use these books to hold it down while it's drying, just so everything stays flush. Once it's dry, we're going to come through with the hot wire cutter. I'm just going to randomly cut out bits and pieces here, and then follow up with a blowtorch to smooth everything out. I'm going to blowtorch the flat parts as well, just to make it a little bit uneven and a little more natural looking. We'll cut a hole in the terrain here, and this is where the creature is going to be shooting out from to attack the guy. We'll set that aside for now. I'm going to keep everything simple when it comes to painting the miniatures. I'm going to start with the base coat, come through with the wash, and then I'm going to use some highlights to make everything pop here at the end. I'm sure you're wondering what this old man and his poor donkey were doing wandering through a post-apocalyptic wasteland filled with creatures out to kill him and raiding parties to do the same and take everything that he has. Well, it all started when he was mining for precious metals off of a small river that feeds into a large lake near the town of Kilmore, a small trading town that this old man lives in, mostly because it has one of the few bars in hundreds and hundreds of miles. He usually finds small amounts of gold that he can trade for beer and food, and maybe some precious stones every once in a while. But today was different. He had been chasing down a large vein of gold that he knew was close by that he had finally located. This was enough that he could finally move out of this small city and maybe start a bar of his own, which was one of his dreams for a really long time. Today, that would all change for him. He'd finally located this vein of gold and spent a little bit too much time mining out every last bit that he could get. And he let the time slip away from him. As the sun went down and the vast wasteland got more dangerous in the night than it did during the day, he knew it was about time to get home. Little did he know, he had overstayed his welcome in this vast and dangerous desert, and the journey home would be nothing short of gruesome and bloody. Fortunately, the man did meet his end that day, but the donkey was able to get away. And when he got home, the man's son found the donkey and saw all the gold that was inside. He instantly knew it wasn't a raiding party that got his dad, but probably some brutal, vicious creature. While his son was deeply saddened by his father's loss, his son looked for days and days, and he could never find where his father had gone to. While he was deeply saddened, the boy did have plans for the money that he had found in his father's donkey. But that's a story for another day. For now, we'll move on into depicting the last moments of this man's life. While it was a sad ending, the man was extremely happy on the short walk that he had made from the small river, going back to Kilmore, before he met his tragic end. He had thoughts of what his bar would look like, what kind of drinks he would serve, and who would be working for him, and the patrons that would be coming inside. Then he heard a small crumbling of land and a whooshing, and then everything went black. After we're done painting everything, I just glued the cactuses into place, and then I'm going to come through with this AK Interactive Sand Dune texture paint. Once it dries, it's going to have a realistic texture to it. We'll spread this out evenly, not too thick. After we spread it out, I'm going to use my airbrush here with no paint in it. I have it on the maximum pressure, and I'm just going to blow out the texture paint here to give it a more realistic look. If you don't have an airbrush, I think an aerosol can for dusting computers would probably work pretty well for this. I would say just start far away just in case the pressure is too high, and then you can move your way in from there. After, I'm going to come through with the AK Interactive Desert Soil. I'm going to sprinkle this over the top just to give it a little more depth and a little more realism there. I'll let the ground dry overnight, like 24 hours or so, then we'll go ahead and glue in the minis into place here. Now that everything's glued into place, I'm going to move on to gluing down the shrubs, small bushes, and the aloe plants that I painted earlier. For the shrubs, I'm going to use an Elena's tacky glue, and then for the aloe plants, since they are a little heavier, I just super glued them down. Then I use that same desert soil to sprinkle around the sides, so you couldn't see the super glue once it dries. All the basing bits that I got here, shrubs, aloe cactuses, They're not aloe, cactuses. I've recorded this part so many different times, I'm just gonna go ahead and leave that in. Enjoy my mess up. The cactuses and the aloe that I got came from Green Stuff World's website. They have an awesome selection of shrubs and resin bits that you can use for your dioramas. To make everything realistic, I would suggest going with all different sizes. I went with extra large, large, medium, and small brushes here for this build. And since it is a desert, I went with darker colors and then just one dark green big shrub. Since there is usually some green shrubs in deserts, just not as much as the dark ones. When I'm putting these into place, I'm not going to hold back with the amount that I use. The more the merrier here. It's going to add a lot of depth, a lot of color to the diorama. I know these shrubs could be quite expensive. There's some really awesome alternatives here on YouTube that you can use for shrubs. We'll go ahead and glue these snakes that I painted off camera. I got these resin snakes from Green Stuff World as well. I think these snakes add a nice little detail that when you really look at the diorama gives it a lot of life. For the last step, I'm going to paint the sides with the black 3.0 paint, and we'll go ahead and get into the beauty shots. Thanks for watching the video, guys, and if you want to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps me out a lot. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Get down in the car, one time give it all, bust it open hard, let me see you drop. Get down in the car, one time give it all, bust it open hard, let me see you drop.